Have you ever met someone born on December 24th and just been struck by how incredibly dependable they are? Well, there's a reason for that. Today, we're going to unpack the entire personality profile of these natural leaders and caregivers. So let's just jump right in. A leader with a heart. I mean, how perfect is that? This little phrase just nails the core of who a December 24th person is. It's this amazing mix of strength and compassion, a sense of duty, but also real empathy. That's the central idea we're going to be digging into. Okay, so what actually makes them this way? To really get a handle on who they are, we've got to look at why they are. And that starts with their cosmic blueprint, the astrological and numerological building blocks of their personality. All right, first up, they're a Capricorn, which means their ruling planet is Saturn. Now think of Saturn as, as the tough but fair professor of the universe. It's not going to give you an easy A, that's for sure. Instead, Saturn is all about teaching you discipline, structure, and how to play the long game. And this is where that deep, deep sense of responsibility comes from. And now, let's stack another layer on top of that, the Earth element. This is the secret sauce that makes them so incredibly grounded and reliable. I mean, while everyone else might be getting carried away with some wild new idea, they're the ones holding it all together, providing that solid, stable foundation for everybody. Okay, and this is where that heart part of the quote really clicks into place. See, in numerology, you take the date, the 24th, and you add the digits. 2 plus 4 gives you 6. And the number 6? That's the number of the nurturer, the ultimate caregiver. It's all about responsibility to family, wanting to serve others, and just creating a warm, loving home. So, what happens when you put it all together? You take that hardcore discipline from Capricorn and Saturn, and you blend it with the warm, nurturing energy of the number 6, and what do you get? Boom, the responsible caregiver. This is someone who doesn't just build things to be successful, they build structures to create security and love for the people around them. All right, so now that we have the blueprints, let's really start to paint the full picture. Next up, we're diving into the specific strengths and the challenges too, that really define this protective and dependable person. And what's really fascinating here is how their greatest strengths are also, the source of their biggest challenges. It's like two sides of the same coin, That incredible sense of responsibility, it means they often take on way, way too much. Their loyalty is just a massive gift, but it also makes it almost impossible for them to ask for help themselves. They're the rock for everyone else, which is amazing. But they really have to remember to build a support system for themselves too. So how does all of this play out when it comes to love and family? Let's take a look at how this protective, responsible nature shapes the most personal parts of their lives. When it comes to relationships, a December 24th person is absolutely all in. They don't do casual, they take love seriously, and they are playing for keeps. Now, they might seem a little reserved at first, but don't let that fool you. Underneath, there is this incredibly deep well of emotion and a loyalty that is just fierce. For them, love isn't just a feeling, it's about building a life based on stability, security, and total trust. So, who do they click with best? Well, it makes a lot of sense. Other earth signs like Taurus and Virgo totally get their need for stability. And then you have the water signs, Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer, who really connect with that protective side and their hidden emotional depth. And this drive to build and protect, it absolutely doesn't stop with their personal life. It's a huge part of their career, too. See, for them, a job is never just a job. It's about building a real legacy, a legacy of stability and of service to others. When it comes to money, you can really see that Saturn influence again. They are fantastic long-term planners, super responsible with their finances. But here's the catch. Sometimes they can be so focused on saving for a rainy day that they forget to enjoy the sunshine they've worked so hard to create. And this really sums up what drives them at work. Their perfect career rests on these 3 big pillars, all equally important. A deep need to care for people, a real talent for thriving in structured places, and that powerful, motivating sense of responsibility. So it's really no surprise that they gravitate towards careers like these, right? You've got fields like healthcare, teaching, and social work that hit that care pillar perfectly. Then you have things like management, finance, and public service, which are just tailor-made for their love of structure and responsibility. Honestly, these are the people who build and run the very systems that make our society work. So we've looked at their cosmic DNA, their personality, how they handle life and work, and it all kind of boils down to this one big question.
For someone who gives so much of themselves to others, what's the real key to their own happiness and fulfillment?
And the answer, maybe surprisingly, isn't about doing more. It's about finding balance. So let's wrap this up with the final, most important takeaway: finding that balanced path. When you look at the big picture, their whole life is really centered on these core themes. They're builders, they're protectors, and they're driven by this fundamental desire to serve others, create a stable home, and leave behind a legacy that truly matters. And that brings us to the ultimate lesson. Their greatest gift to the world, without a doubt, is how much they care for others. But their greatest personal challenge? It's learning to turn that exact same level of care back on themselves. Real, lasting fulfillment for the December 24th personality is found right there, in that perfect balance, the moment the responsible caregiver finally learns how to be a caregiver to themselves.